I do have all your mics turned off. If you have any questions, just use the chat box down there and type them in, or if it's easier for me to just unmute your mic, we can do that as well, and I could just go through and unmute it manually. So if you want that done, just say, hey, can you unmute my mic? I've got a question for the group. I don't think that this is going to take super long today. I've got three things that I want to make sure we go through as we get to the end of the year, and then be able to answer any questions that the group might have. We will post this video on YouTube like we've done with the other ones, and I'll send out the link to it so that everybody has access and can view the information later. And if a question pops up, later this week or next week or something, and you just need it answered, shoot me a question anytime, and we'll get it answered for you. So hoping everybody can see my screen over here that says STC Agenda. These are the three things we wanted to go over. The first one is that password change website. We had sent it out to STCs, and I'll just remind everybody this is what it looks like. So we had sent this out to STCs a couple weeks ago, maybe probably a couple months ago now. And STCs helped us troubleshoot some errors, and then we asked the group to go find 4 or 5 teachers and try it with those 4 or 5 teachers, and they came back and gave us some more errors. We did some troubleshooting with those. We feel pretty confident that things are working the way they're supposed to work with this now. We are not doing a full staff rollout probably until May sometime, and the reason for that is we want elementary teachers to get their accounts moved over, and then we'll probably make this a taste of technology topic, where we'll show this to people the first time. But if you have teachers who want to change their password, or you've got people that you want to do this with, there is nothing stopping from that from happening. I'm calling this kind of a soft rollout, in that we're just going to kind of let it roll. We're just going to kind of let it be out there. People who want to use it can use it, and then we'll do a full rollout district-wide middle of May or sometime, with the idea that if people don't get to it, most people change their password in August. They're just going to have to do it sometime at the start of the school year. That's going to be something that they have to do right when they get in at the start of the school year. So that's kind of what we're thinking with this right now. Are there any questions or anything anybody wants me to go over with that change password website? All right, well, I'll let you, if there is anything that comes to mind here in a little bit, feel free to bring those up, and we can kind of, I can answer those now, or like I said, we can send something out to the group later. I am going to go ahead and unmute Anna for this next portion, hopefully. Well, I'm not having any luck unmuting Anna here. Oh, there we go. Anna and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the professional development conference we're running this summer. We're doing 4 one-week sessions. 2 of them are going to be for elementary, 2 of them are going to be for secondary. These sessions are unpaid sessions, but we have been working on trying to get some credit through Doan. And the idea with these sessions would be that we would do a day of training on, let's say, a Monday, and then a Tuesday would be time to work with Anna specifically to build lessons around the things that we did the professional development, the training on, and then Wednesday we'd come back for more class time, and then Thursday open it up. And I'm not sure if that is set in stone, and Anna and I haven't had a chance to talk since before spring break, so if there are other thoughts that are out there, that may change or shift a little bit, but that's kind of the philosophy we had, is that professional development isn't any good unless we give teachers an opportunity to put it to use, an opportunity to build lessons around it. So that being said, well, let me just say, Anna, is there anything you'd like to add to that first part?
No, I know that Bill has a PD conference survey that he's going to talk about in just a minute, but if you have any recommendations on the format, whether you think it makes more sense to maybe have direct instruction in the mornings and then have the teachers do some work in the afternoons, or whether you think a whole day of kind of here's a smattering of different topics and then have the whole next day to work together. If you have ideas on what you think would be most valuable for secondary staff, include that in the questionnaire and survey. We're interested to hear what kinds of topics we think are really relevant, what your teachers could use the most, but also how to make sure that it gets applied and not just the hit and run PD.
Perfect. Yeah. So that leads me right into the survey here. We created a survey, and I will show it. We created a survey, and I will be sending this link out with everything else. We've done this this survey or similar survey with all principals, and we've also done it with the ETC group, and we've done it with internally. We've done it too to kind of see what we think is important and what things we'd like some training on, or some professional development done on. And so we've got every group kind of identified in this. The group we don't have is the STC group, so that's how we're going to use this survey. When we did the other groups, we really had some good conversation about what it means to do this training, but also what the ETCs expect out of their teachers and what they'd like them to be doing in their classroom. So we want you to kind of think of that when you're doing this is what other things can we be doing, and so that's kind of the questions we ask here. What technology items are teachers in your building strong with? What types of things are we using in the buildings that we should either keep doing, or sometimes maybe we need to reevaluate those. And then what types of tools should be incorporated into this conference. These might be tools that teachers say, hey, is there a way we can do this in the district? And a lot of times I feel like STCs and ETCs know that we have some of these tools, but maybe the general teacher doesn't realize that we have those tools available. So we're trying to get some of those ideas, and then any other notes. And it's all just free text, so put in whatever you feel and whatever you think is important, and then we're going to take that and we're going to try to customize, triangulate the data between what central office kind of thought was important, what the principals thought was important, and then what we're hearing from the STCs and the ETCs. And I'm almost sure that the professional development sessions will be different from elementary to secondary, which is kind of why we're separating those two. We're splitting those up a little bit because we realize there probably will be some difference, not only in how we deliver them, but also in content that's available for those. So Anna, is there anything else you wanted to bring up with this? I'll unmute you.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I think we just really want to make it relevant and figure out what teachers need. I know that the secondary is going to function a little differently from elementary because each department is going to probably need something a little different. But so we hope to really differentiate this and personalize this so that everybody gets something out of it. So we're relying pretty heavily on you for feedback on what that looks like. So just we appreciate all your feedback.
And the last item on the agenda today is one that you may have heard some rumblings or some rumors about, and that relates to OneDrive rollout. So first thing I want to do is I want to go through the timeline that we set out with principals. We had a very good meeting with principals about 2 weeks ago where we rolled out this timeline. We did make some minor tweaks to it, but for the most part, I think everybody felt like this timeline could be met. This timeline was put together by a group of about 12 people. So we had administrators that sat on this, and then we had Anna and myself and a few other people who sat on this committee to look at OneDrive and how we get things moved and what this consists of. And we really worked to nail down a timeline in January, February, and that's kind of where we are right now is the next step, which is releasing this to the teachers. So what you're going to see is this Friday there will be a taste of technology in the Friday features that's got kind of a little teaser with this. Anna has been working on directions that we handed out to principals and ETCs. After feedback from those two groups, I think we're tweaking those a little bit. And our goal is that we would have all of those out by the middle of next week to STCs and principals, so they know exactly what this looks like, exactly what needs to be done. And then on April 20th, I'll be providing a webinar. That webinar was sent out to all principals. Some principals are going to do it as a group, where they're going to have a group of teachers watch it, and then that group is going to be the expert and go out. Other buildings have decided to let teachers watch it on their own. So we're kind of all over the place how that webinar is going to be viewed and done. But again, we'll record that just like we're recording this one. We'll put it on YouTube. You'll be able to watch it at any time. And then we're looking for a completion date of the last day of school 2016. So that gives everybody about 13 and a half months to get all of their files moved. And what we're talking about here is moving everything that's in your My Documents. Desktop items would be another thing. Anything like that. Get all of those files, and we're going to get them up to Microsoft, the cloud, Microsoft OneDrive. And there are a lot of benefits to this, which hopefully we'll see as the time goes on. But the ability to collaborate with colleagues and students, the ability to restore your own backups, the ability to access documents from anywhere, and it's pretty device neutral. So you can edit from the iPad, you can edit from an Android phone, you can edit from your computer. We're very excited about some of those options that it gives us. The biggest concern we have with the OneDrive rollout is the idea that not all files will go. For instance, if you have a hashtag or a pound sign, I found out that if I say pound sign, I date myself. So if you have a hashtag in your file name, then that file won't go. You'll get an error on it. There is a tool, and the link to run that tool is here, and I'll be sharing that with everybody. I'll send that out to the group as well. There are directions and then how you run that tool. And it tells you any files that are in your My Documents. So you point the tool at your My Documents, and then when you run it, it'll give you a list back of all the files that don't meet the naming conventions, and you can go ahead and correct those files before you start copying stuff. And like I said, we're giving 13 months here to kind of go through this process. We had an administrator who last week over spring break sat down and did all her files, and she said it took her about 4 to 5 hours to do, but in that 4 to 5 hours she moved every single file up to OneDrive. So that's absolutely an option, but if you want to take time and you want to do piece by piece. The thing I'll say about OneDrive, and the way I'm currently using it, is I'm doing it in such a way that when I get in the morning, I go to OneDrive, and then I just leave this up here. If I want a new document, I just say new, and I create a Word document right from the web. That's not the only way to do this, but for me it's been the easiest way to do it, because I can just say new Word document, new Excel, and if I want it in, for instance, this admin meetings folder. So I've got this information here. If I want a new document in admin meetings, I say new, and then I create it right there. You can do new folder, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Excel survey, and then a OneNote notebook. And we haven't done a lot with OneNote notebooks, but I think our goal would be over time to do more with OneNote notebooks. Once we get items moved up to OneDrive, we'll be able to use that quite a bit more. So I think that's kind of the idea behind the rollout. Anything I'm missing? Anna or Steph, anything that you can think of that I'm missing?
Nope, I don't think so. I think just reiterating what you said, that really this is about moving the My Documents over and not any kind of shared folders that people have that they collaboratively are sharing, secondary shared, things like that. This is just people's personal My Documents.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think we'll get there, but it's that old adage, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time, and this is our first bite here. And next year at this time, Anna and I will probably sit down and we'll say, okay, what's the next step to this process? With the goal being that we get as much cloud-based as we possibly can over the next 5 years or so. So are there any questions anybody has about any of those 3 items that they'd like me to spend any more time with? All right, I'm going to work on getting this YouTube video online at latest tomorrow sometime, and I'll get the link sent out to everybody so you can go back through and watch it. I would like to send out this agenda in an email so you've got all the links and everything like that. And I'll do that as soon as we get off the meeting. I'll send that to everybody so that everybody has what we talked about and the links to the items we talked about. The one thing I would say is the one piece of homework I would have for everybody is that PD conference survey. If you could go in and by the end of the week have that done, that would help Anna and I quite a bit as we look forward to what we're doing with that PD conference and the items that we're going to present. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for your time today, and if you have any questions, feel free to email.